Well, hello, everybody. I want to welcome you guys back to Two Therapists and a Microphone. I am Dr. Harrison Davis.
And I'm Dr. Aisha Dickerson.
We've been gone for a while. It's been
Felt like,
almost 2 years
hmm
since we had to go on hiatus because of the pandemic that really started March of 2020. And here we are, January of 2022, getting things started back up. So we want to reintroduce ourselves to you guys tonight, tell you a little bit more about us. And Dr. Aisha has a wonderful topic that she wants us to talk about. So, Aisha, let me ask you first, Dr. Aisha, what have you been doing the last 2 years?
well, so for sure, I think, being isolated and having to deal with COVID and having to deal with people in hospitals because I had a few health issues as well. One thing that it made me see and understand and know is what I will and won't deal with anymore. And so,
Mm.
what we talked about a few days ago, because even though Harrison and I haven't been doing two therapists in the microphone, we still connect with each other. And one of the big things that I ended up letting go was any situation in which I was dealing with a Karen. I'm putting that in air quotes, even though I mean, you all know what I mean when I say Karen. So we talked about what we would talk about when we come back. The first thing
Yep.
that came to my mind was I want to talk about white women. Well, that particular day,
We're not going to talk about white women, but go ahead.
no, because they're good white women. There are, but there are Karens that people have had to deal with. So much that it's been all on the news, it's been in the media, especially on social media. And there are some people who argue that calling someone a Karen is a derogatory term, almost like calling someone the N-word, which that's ridiculous. But
It doesn't have the same
the
history.
when we think about it, right, exactly. When someone is called a Karen, my understanding is that they're talking about a woman who is nitpicking and reporting people for things, or are basically trying to ruin other people's lives because they feel uncomfortable in a situation or because
Yeah.
things aren't going their way. Unfortunately, a lot of these people who are doing the reporting and nitpicking have happened to be white women. Not saying they're always white women, but when we see them
True.
on the news, they've been white
They're the
women.
ones getting the publicity right now.
Right. I mean, there was the woman who reported the guy who was bird watching. You remember that? The bird
Yeah, in
watching
the
guy?
park. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. There was, I saw another one on social media where these people were trying to take a picture of their baby's 1 year old birthday party, her like
Hmm.
birthday pictures. And she was saying, "You don't live over here and no one should be taking pictures in this park. And I want to walk my dog." I mean, it's like strange. But even I have had to deal with more recently situations where I felt someone was being a Karen and I've had to call them out on it. And in the instance I'm thinking about, the woman came back maybe a day later, and I mean, she apologized, and upon reflecting, she understood what was going on, but it didn't change the fact that the situation I was in was because one white woman complained to another white woman who complained to another white woman, and
Okay.
no one did any background checks to figure out what was going on. It was just like, let's stop dealing with this black woman because this little young, and I'm gonna say white girl, she was young, because this little white girl made a complaint. So
Yeah.
I,
So
I was
so
just
but so
over it.
before we go any further with that, I just want to let everybody know what I was doing also over the last 2 years. Like Aisha, dealing with the pandemic, a lot of uncertainty. I never imagined that it would last this long. I remember trying to reassure my daughter. The summer of 2020, it's going to go away soon. Going to get back to normal, and it did not. So she had to go to remote.
Like ever, it's just
It did
never
not.
got.
She went to remote and had to make some changes on my job. I too, like you, Aisha, decided just to make some changes. Still making some more changes, where it really made me think about what do I want to affect me, on a daily basis. So I decided to get a new job, and that was one of the first things that I decided to do, and just to do something that I'm really happy about, passionate about. I was passionate about my other job, just just had to be in a new space, had to be in a new
Mhm.
environment, and so now I'm hearing other stuff on the news. We got Omarion apparently is a virus right now. Uh,
Right.
there's
It always catches me off guard when people say that because being a member of a Greek letter organization, I hear I'm like I'm a cry, right? I'm having a hard time hearing other people
Yeah,
mispronounce
no,
it. It's
it.
like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Omnicron, but Omarion is a new
right.
one. That's a singer, is my
I heard
understanding.
somebody call it apricot. That was 2 days
You know,
ago. It's like
but we
that's
still dealing
creative.
with it. I'm happy to hear that it's not as deadly
Hmm.
as the Delta version or the original version of COVID-19. Also, I'm hearing on the news about shortages at grocery stores. I'm glad that's not happening at my place, but it is. There's some places in the Atlanta area where they're experiencing that, and then the airlines and still going to places, and people are arguing about masks.
Right.
And people make comments to me because I made a mask, wearing a mask. Someone made a comment to my daughter at school, which they're mandating
Hmm.
the students to wear masks. And someone made a comment to her about why is she wearing a mask? You can still catch COVID. So these are indeed ongoing, strange times. And I haven't even mentioned the old president and the insurrection
You know what?
riots.
I forgot he existed until you
I
just brought
did
that up
too,
again.
because Omarion, has distracted us.
Right.
But out of all the things we're still dealing with unemployment issues, the great resignation. Yeah, people are doing. I'm a part of that. I understand why people did it. People still have health issues. People are still dying, not as
Hmm.
many, as they used to. People still going into the hospital. I am amazed that I'm still hearing about these situations that you mentioned, Aisha, about Black folks dealing with Karens, and the use of that term, and somebody violating our personal space, trying to put us into certain spaces that we don't belong, labeling us,
Yeah.
something that we're not. So that's gonna be today's topic. And I see people are commenting. I want to say hello to everybody in
Hi,
Facebook
everyone.
world, and feel free to ask us some questions. But I really want to find out. So, Aisha, what goes on with you when you have to interact with a Karen? Let's talk about that.
Okay. So let's yeah, let's talk about it because I think that my in this particular situation, let's say it had to do with money because it did. It was one of these things where we don't like the way you did ABC. So how about what it was in 2 weeks you move on? And I was like, I have a better idea. I'll move on today. And you
Oh,
all can figure out what to do with your people that I
they
was
didn't know
working
you
with.
were gangster.
Like, oh no, they didn't. They didn't realize that like
You
did you
told her
work
you
this?
don't have to wait. You could cut me
She was
loose
like,
now.
yeah, she was like, we just want to move on with someone else in January. I was like, oh no, 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 no,
And let
no.
everybody know this is like contract work. So this
Right.
isn't.
This is contract work. So,
Yeah.
I think they maybe forgot that they were just one of many contracts because I mean
Yeah.
I'm me. So then it was, oh, you should be nicer and stick around until we want you to leave. No, I owe you no favors. This is it,
So it
you
was
just
all on
deal
their terms. So
right.
what was
They
what
want me
was
to get up in there and tap dance and
so what was the
smile like they wasn't supposed to.
rationale for them wanting you to not provide your services?
So I'll say this agency, well, company I was working with, I've been a contractor with them for 4 years. And after doing some work with this, let's say this one white woman, twice she's worked with me. She said I was 30 minutes late, which was a whole lie. It was just a whole lie. And that she had to work with my intern once, which I work with interns and sometimes they come in and they do some work with me. So they didn't ask what was the reason your intern was there. Were you 30 minutes late? It was, we're just gonna move on. Forgetting the fact that all of these people that I was working with were connected to my license. I was providing supervision, connected to my license, and that once I left, they had to find someone else to keep their people licensed.
So
So
it sounds like someone created a version of the story
mhm,
or reality. She didn't like it, but she
yeah.
decided to go tell on you, is what it sounds like. And then the people who
Right.
she
No one
informed,
talked to me.
but they believed her. Is that correct? They
Yes,
believed
they
her.
believed
Mhm.
her
They didn't go to you to check.
immediately. No, no, not at all. Despite knowing her for maybe a couple of months and knowing me for 4 years and never having had one complaint about me in 4 years.
Mm.
Just and the people I was
All that
contacted with.
stellar history meant nothing
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
this
And
Karen
and
decided to tell on you.
right.
Mm.
Her relationship meant more to them, despite the fact that I was the only reason that they could bill in the first
Gotcha.
place. So, I don't know if they were able to bill for the rest of December, and I also don't care.
So the
Um,
priority
so,
was placed on this young woman who
mhm,
was creating a negative narrative about you. She was the priority despite your years of experience working there
right.
and the history they have with you. So no one
Mhm.
said, no, that doesn't sound like Dr. Aisha. Or
Right, right.
maybe we should ask her about it. No one asked that.
Or make sure that she's not in the hospital dying or something, and that's the reason
No
she
one
wasn't
checked
there.
on
Because
you.
to let you know, the time the intern was there was because I was in the hospital, but no one said, "Let's check and make sure she's okay." That there's not a reason she didn't make it, or be
How,
grateful that she sent somebody to do the job, even though she couldn't be there.
yeah, so let me be the therapist for a moment.
Hmm,
What did
hmm.
that all do to you? How did that make you feel?
I was upset. I wasn't even sad. It was more even I kind of went back old school, Aisha. I'll hurt you worse than you hurt me. I'll just
Okay.
move on. I'm not hurt, but you will be hurt because I'm going to move on immediately. Um,
Okay.
Not only that, but all the other people that I had who I brought with me to this contract, I took all of my people back off, took all of my people off of the contract and just worked with them myself 101. And you might
Mm.
find somebody else to work with those 10 people, maybe. I think it's maybe 10 people on that contract. But also I'm going to take 18 with me to
Damn.
off of right. 18 with
So
me off of your
you
contract.
found a way to quickly recover from it
Oh yeah.
emotionally and preserve you to make
Hmm.
this all work out for you. So in
Yeah.
the end, you win.
Yeah. I feel
Gotcha.
great. The people I took with me, they feel better. The majority of them were had dealt with Karens as well, and it was
Mhm.
actually something we just processed in supervision. Here's why we're not working
Mhm.
with these people anymore. If you want to stay with them, you can. But what?
I'm happy with how you handle things,
Thank you.
and I just want to let you know that I think that's great because I know aside of you, what I know about you, you wanted to do something different. If perhaps you were younger and didn't have so many obligations
See,
or people relying on you, what are those other options you would have thought about?
cussing them out immediately. Getting on Google and writing all the reviews I can. I'm like one of Google's top reviewers.
Okay.
I mean, like seriously, Google has sent me a shirt and some socks. I
Oh
do,
damn.
yeah,
I
I
didn't know they did
review a
that.
lot.
Okay.
People people look at my pictures. I'm a really good reviewer, so I will
Mm.
find any I could have found anywhere possible to review them and written a review. Called every other person I know who works with them and tell them to move on. But more
Gotcha.
than that, I could have cussed out each and every woman who had anything to do with it and told them do something about it.
Mm. Mm. So what?
But
So
I didn't.
that would have felt good too. You
Well,
know,
maybe I matured a little bit
I
during the
think you have. I think you
the
have.
quarantine.
But what that would have made you feel good. I know a lot of people actually do that, and they videotape it. But what made you what prevented you from doing that?
Good math skills. once I did my calculations for how much money I would make once I just took all of my own people, I found that I made more money just with my own few and not dealing with theirs,
Hmm.
and moving on.
So you found a way out again where you benefited. You
Right.
you ended up on top. Gotcha. I
And also
wish.
I
Go
don't
ahead.
have imposter syndrome. Like I knew I was good at what I did and that I could do it by myself. This people I was working with just made it slightly easier. I just have to do a little more work. Imposter syndrome is not one of my things. I believe in
Gotcha.
myself and that helped me move on.
Gotcha. So you're strong and confident in yourself, and you know
Thank
you're gonna bounce
you.
back. I like the way you handle that. We don't have to wait. You don't have to give me 2 weeks notice. You could cut me loose right now, and then behind the scenes, I'm gonna bring all the people, to join my team, and then I can continue without you. I love that. But there are some black folks out there who haven't reached that level of maturity.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know a lot of them personally.
And so what do you think? I mean, I could join in on this too. What do you think goes on with a lot of black folks who haven't reached that level of maturity, and they're having to deal with these individuals who are making up false rumors about them
Mhm.
that's affecting their paycheck? You're lucky. I know you have multiple streams of income, but
I
there are
do,
some
yeah.
people that only have one. And so this jeopardizes their livelihood. So what do you believe is going on with a lot of people who do cuss them out?
Well, I think
Karens.
it's like to me, I think it's a combination of things. Like we're dealing with the pandemic and being isolated and, trying not to catch COVID. And it's
Yeah.
difficult to breathe when you have a mask on. And so I'm already frustrated. And then you want to pick at me, like you're going to get everything that I've been wanting to give to everybody else. Now,
Yeah.
I think that that's what has happened, and that's me outside looking in. I don't work with as many
Mhm.
clients anymore, so I might not see it as much as you do. And you're
Yeah.
working, with college students and stuff, so maybe you see something different. What are you seeing on your end?
So yeah, I do have a story from a
Okay.
client I can share with you, but I'm just sitting here thinking about the Karens and these individuals out there who really make it tough, and they're demonstrating some double standards, some biases, and then we have to deal with it, and people placing labels on us. I fortunately, well, I haven't had to deal with a whole lot. There was an incident I think I shared it with my wife over a year or two ago at the grocery store. You go up to the thing to put your groceries on, and it rolls up to the cashier, and I'm standing there, and this I felt someone right on me, like right there on my shoulder. As I'm putting my groceries on the little belt thing that moves, and it was an older white woman, and she was pushing my groceries on the conveyor belt, whatever you call the thing.
Hmm.
And so I looked back. 'Cause I thought that was rude as hell. And I looked back. I said, "Excuse me." And she said, "Uh-huh." And then she kept putting her stuff up there. And I said, "You're gonna have to give me space. You're gonna have to give me at least 6 feet."
Yeah.
And she wasn't wearing a mask. and so and so I was at that time. And I just remember she was like not moving, not bulging. So I
And see
remember
if you had pushed her, it would have been an issue.
I wouldn't be here. Uh, so I guess I had that little moment where I guess it takes a little bit longer for me to get to that little gangster point that you just talked about.
Hmm.
But I can do it. Yeah, the audience, you don't know about SWATs Atlanta, you can Google it.
That's
Don't let
right. That's
those
where you're from.
degrees fool you. But nevertheless, I am in a grocery store in my neighborhood, and I'm not going to let somebody steal all of my energy like that. So I stood there until she took all her items. This is a couple of them. Her items off the little thing, the little belt thing, and put them back in her grocery cart. She was looking at me like I was an alien, and I just stood there to let her know I'm not moving. I think somebody behind her said, "Lady, please move your stuff." These are the other white people, calling her out on her caringness. But that was my moment, and she took the stuff out off the little roller thing, and I paid for my stuff. I didn't look back at her. She I don't know if she looked at me, but I think I got the message across to her. that you're gonna have to respect me and my personal rules. I didn't care she was in a hurry. But you're on me. I mean, on my shoulder. The top of her head was right that she was leaning down, putting stuff
Oh,
on the
you
little
sound
thing.
so. That makes my heart beat fast when you say
I mean,
that. I want
right
father
there.
put my hands in her face. It's
And I was
a
supposed
lot.
to go faster, and the cashier was supposed to go faster. And the cashier was looking at me like, "Why you stop? Let's keep going." And so I'm not moving. I'm not in a hurry. So that's my only Karen story. It's not as dramatic as yours, but I too thought about it. I didn't have anything to lose because I really didn't mind, cussing her out, calling some
Right. You
names.
may not have ever been able to come back to that grocery store, but that's fine. There are plenty.
And it could, in my area, they may have called the police on me. So,
That's right. I
in
know
my
where you live.
area,
They might have.
angry black man and aisle too. But anyway, that was my story, and it really didn't have a huge impact on me. But I do know of people who don't handle things that well. I had no reason to get upset. I wasn't moving. I said what I had to say, and you either going to move back or I'm going to stand here. You're going to have to get another line. But you're going to respect my wishes and give me some space. So I was able to do that. But again, I didn't have a whole lot to lose. However, I have a client and put things into context. 40-ish, black man, graduate degrees, hired at a major company to be a project manager to work on some of that IT stuff, all that IT stuff. And he does well. He's happy. It's a salary he's never had before. It's much higher than his last salary. He's happy. And one of the young ladies on his team, because he has a team that reports to him. How about that? That means he's in charge. One of the
Yep.
young ladies on the team decided to question him a lot. And she would criticize him to the other team members and to him and to his face. And when he instructed the team to do things, she said she wasn't going to do it. And so he didn't know what to do. He was a little rattled. He's one of the black men who are professional and don't believe something like that is going to happen to them. He honestly did not know how to handle that situation. So she went over his head.
He thought because he worked so hard and got up to
Yep.
the top that
And
just
all
he
those
was immune
degrees,
to
a
okay.
master's degree that got him to this executive level where he has a team working for him. He was the only black person at that level. He thought he was immune to all of that. So she went over his head to his boss, who is really one of the C-suite people within the company, to complain about him. And so he eventually came in because it got so bad for him. He didn't know how to handle it. He didn't want to get ghetto. That's what he said. Sometimes it's nothing wrong with it, but you do have to weigh your options.
Sometimes you need to. I mean,
and so this was new for him. He said he thought about going off. He was losing control of his emotions. He was getting really upset, and he was about to go on medication. And I was like, all over some loud mouth white girl. You don't know how to put a person who reports to you in her place. And he had to be honest. I don't know how to handle it when it's a white young lady who's complaining about me. Because he didn't want to be perceived as that angry, unruly, unreasonable black man on his job. He worked for a long time to get to that position, and he didn't want to do anything to interrupt that. So he came to me for some advice and figuring things out. And Aisha, did we lose you? I see that your screen froze. I'll wait for you to come back. Did you get all that, Aisha?
Yeah, I think I think everybody kind of went away for a minute. I could still I can see it on the social media, but
so that client came to me. We talked things out. I'm going to give you an update on what's going on now. But how might you have handled a client like that and dealing with this at a certain level, executive level at his company, want to preserve his image and that paycheck?
Right.
We talk about a six-figure salary that starts with the number 2. And
well,
so
and that's much. Most people say 6 figures. They're talking about $100,000. So
yes, but I had to clarify that by saying that it started with the number 2. And so
Okay.
he was happy to be there, and he wants to keep that job. What would you say to that brother? He's having a difficult time. That's why he's on my couch.
Well, I mean, because I have supervised a lot of people, my first thing is like you give her a warning, and then in my mind, I'm always saying I could show you better than I could tell you.
Yep.
Stop coming at me like that. Second time it's going to be a written warning. Third time I'm going to let you go. If you're going to take, I know it's in my mind, I know you're going to take it to the top anyway. So let me give you a reason to take it to the
You
top.
are gangster. So let me give you a little
Without
bit more
cussing out.
information about the brother. He's the non-confrontational type.
Mm.
He's the highly professional guy who really doesn't like to rock the boat, and he doesn't want this situation to continue. But he
Is
doesn't
he
want to go.
married?
Yes, he doesn't
Okay.
want to feel the way that he feels about it because the white girl, the Karen, I'm sorry, was winning, and she was about to get her way.
Because see now, I also I wonder if he brings all of that into the rest of his life. Is he non-confrontational everywhere else,
Yes,
just letting people
yes,
push? Okay,
yes.
wouldn't be my husband, but I
And I
just
don't we talked about it. He didn't have a whole lot of opportunities to push back. Is what
okay,
it
okay.
sounds like. He never had the practice to stand up for himself like the rest of us
Hmm.
do. So I had to help him feel comfortable with that and stop awfulizing these possibilities, that will come from it. But ultimately, what we talked about, and I happen to deal with, are those feelings, feeling vulnerable,
Hmm.
feeling powerless, even at the level that he is, and to not ignore that. But what can we do to empower you? What can we do to make you feel empowered? Let's embrace that position that you have. Let's embrace the
Right,
power that she reports to you. I kept asking that. So who does she report to?
right.
You
I was
can
just
make
like,
her
why is
like
she still there? I'm
hell.
like, what?
But he was afraid that his boss, who he reported to, one of the VPs, was going to take her side because he noticed how people ran to her rescue. And then
Hmm.
they believed her, just like the people at your agency you just talked about believed the Karen who was complaining about you. So we just talked about some strategies to play this game.
Well, I mean, because number one is bring it to their attention before she does. Remember, I said this woman came
Yep.
back the next day and said, "Oh, now that I've thought about it, I see. I mean, awareness is key. I'm going to bring you into awareness about what I see is happening. That I
Yep.
think, I'm not saying this, it could be not racially motivated. I don't know what her issue is, but let me make you aware of the issue since apparently you have no awareness of how people come to her rescue all the time, too.
Yep, yep. So we talked about all of that. So we are about out of time. That went by fast. So as I'm looking at the clock, it's 29 minutes and 16
Right.
seconds. So we're going to have to wrap up now. I would love to share the rest of the story with you guys next week. And I want to hear from you about the impact of dealing with Karens. What does it do to you? Do you sort of freeze, like my client, or do you take the gangster route, like Dr. Aisha, to handle it and make sure that you end up on top and that you win? So, Aisha, anything else you want to share with the audience before we go? Sign out.
No, just to let you all know who we are. We love talking about mental health issues and how you can apply therapeutic techniques to your regular life. So, those of you who've never seen us, we hope you come back.
Absolutely. So don't forget to find us on the internet, twotherapist.com. That's two TWO therapist with an S.com. Thank you guys. We hope to see you again.